Okay, sounds good.
All right. So whenever you are ready, go for it.
Okay, great. So far we've been talking about our first principle of double goal coaching, and that's the elm tree of mastery, and you guys have been doing great with that. And now what we're going to start to do is transition into the second principle. But before we do that, I want you guys to take a look at the screen, and I want you to decide which car we're going to take to the second principle. Would you rather take the car with the gas tank on the left or the gas tank on the right? What would you say, Kip?
Well, I definitely want the one that's full, for sure.
Good vote, good vote. How about you, Kelly?
I agree.
Definitely. Well, why? Why would you pick the one that's full?
Because when I'm on an empty tank of gas, I'm a stress ball. I get anxious. I get worried. How much I have to go?
Absolutely. All true. All true. We get anxious.
Further.
Yes, you can go further on a full tank of gas.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go further on a full tank of gas, and on an empty tank, you can't really get to where you want to go, most likely. Okay? And another thing, too, is I want you to take a look at the gas tank on the left and where the needle is pointing. Okay? When we have an empty gas tank, or it's close to empty, we're usually in the red zone, right? When you guys think of the color red, what do you usually think about? What type of feelings come to mind when you think about something that's red?
Warning.
Right, warning. And how does the warning make you feel?
Stressed, like Kelly said.
Yeah, stressed. Maybe probably not very confident. Like a stress ball, I think, Kelly, you mentioned, or Kip, one of you mentioned a stress ball, so maybe very tight as well. All right. So that's when we're in the red, when we're kind of empty. When we're over with a full tank, we're in a zone that's green. What does green, bring to mind for you guys?
Go. Go, 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 go get them.
Go, 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 right? Nothing holding you back. Anything else?
Fuel. That's fuel. That's a good thing. It means I'm energized.
Absolutely. And when you're energized, usually you're feeling pretty confident that you can do whatever you have in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys made a good choice. So we're going to take that full tank to our second principle, which is filling emotional tanks. You could go ahead and
click.
Go to the next one.
Okay.
So the second principle of double goal coaching is filling the E-tank, or the emotional tank. And we all have emotional tanks, we as coaches and also our players. And we mentioned that full, just like a gas tank, when we have a full emotional tank, we can get where we need to go, okay? If we have an athlete that has a full emotional tank, they're going to be more optimistic, okay? They're going to feel a little bit more confident, okay? They're going to be a little bit more coachable because they'll be more likely to listen, all right? On the other hand, on the left, when we're near E, we have an empty emotional tank. We may not really feel that we can get the job done because we may be, what you guys mentioned before, we may be a little what? If we're near empty, if we're in the red zone with our emotional tank or our gas tank. How do we feel?
Drained and depleted.
Yeah, anxious and nervous too.
Right, right. So if we have an athlete who has an empty or a drained emotional tank, we may not have an athlete who can really get the job done that day. They may not feel like they can do what they do on most days. And because of that, they may not listen to us. They may be a little bit less coachable. All right. So as coaches, we want to learn how we can fill our athletes' emotional tanks. Okay, and we want to learn what to recognize when their tank is drained. Okay, I'm going to do a little exercise with you guys before we go to the next slide. All right, I'm going to pretend that I'm your player, I'm your athlete. Okay, and I'm on the basketball court and I'm playing, and I'm going to take a shot. And after I take my shot, I'm going to turn and I'm going to look to you guys. And Kip, I can't see you, but I'll listen. And I'm going to see.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
When I turn and look to you guys after I take my shot, I'm going to miss the shot. And after I take a look at you guys, I want you to drain my emotional tank. With what we just talked about, kind of think of what that may sound like and look like. And so after I miss the shot and I look towards you, I want you guys to do the best you can to drain my emotional tank. Okay? You guys ready?
Yep.
So I'm going to take my shot. And I missed.
Oh, what were you thinking? That was terrible.
Oh my gosh, you have to make that. What was going through your head? Come on.
Right. Very good emotional tank draining, okay? An athlete who has felt that may wonder about taking the next shot, okay? They may also wonder about, ooh, am I going to get taken out of the game by my coach, okay? And I saw a nonverbal, okay? What you did, Kelly, that's something that's also very important for us to realize as coaches, because athletes are always looking at us, okay? And they're paying attention to us, whether we feel like they're listening or not. Nonverbal communication is really important because athletes remember nonverbal signals 10 times more than verbal communication. So Kelly, when you put your hand on your head, great example of a nonverbal draining of an emotional tank. All right. So good examples. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot my shot again, and I'll miss it. But this time, I want you guys to fill my emotional tank. When I take a look at you, I want you to fill my emotional tank as best you can as coaches. Are we ready? Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay. Take my shot. Turn to coach.
Way to go. Nice follow through.
Good. It's all right. Good job.
Thank you. Very good. Okay. Some nice specific praise I heard. I heard a good follow through. All right. That fills the E-tank. Even though I missed my shot, I know that I did a good job with my form at least. And what do you think that does for an athlete when they hear some E-tank filling like that and some specific praise? What do you think that does for an athlete, Kelly?
It gets them ready for the next play. It helps them just realize that, they just missed a shot. Oh, well, there's going to be another one. They got to get ready for the next one.
That's right. That's right.
Their efforts
I know that.
Stay strong.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I'll continue to try because I know that my coach said I did something right, which means maybe next time I'm going to make the shot. So I'm going to continue to try, and I'm going to continue to work hard, and I'm not going to be afraid to take that next shot, which if I had a drained emotional tank, I may be a little bit scared and very tight to take that next shot. All right. I saw another nonverbal emotional tank filler, okay, which was clapping. Okay, I saw Kelly did some clapping. Again, that's a great example of an emotional tank filler. Other examples of what fills our emotional tank would be some praise that's specific, not general, but more specific praise. Okay, and the reason we want specific praise is because we need to give our athletes direction. Okay, our athletes need to know what they did a good job on. They don't want to just hear good job. They want to know what they did a good job on, because there may be an end result that the athlete did well, but on the path to that end result, maybe they did make a mistake and they do need a little bit of correction. Okay, so they need that truthful, specific praise. They also need to have their E-tank filled by appreciation or just listening. Okay, and again, the nonverbal. So as you take a look there, we can see just some examples of what drains the tank and what fills the tank. Okay, and it does become a little bit tricky for coaches because we see that correction may drain the tank, but we just have to learn about what type of correction and how to give correction in order to fill the E-tank. And which brings me to the next slide. Okay, how many E-tank fillers to criticisms do we need to get that magic ratio, the ratio to when like really good things happen? How do we know what's enough to fill an athlete's E-tank? Does anybody have any ideas on how many positives we may need to 1 criticism?
I think at least 2 to 1.
Yeah,
2 to 1?
Yeah, 2 or 3 to 1.
That's not bad. That's not bad. 2 or 3 to 1, definitely greater than 1. We definitely want more positives than criticisms. The magic ratio is actually 5 to 1. Okay, 5 e-tank fillers to 1 criticism, and that's been researched on many levels in schools, in relationships. It's been researched in business to be effective. Okay, and as coaches, we can go and use our toolkit of e-tank fillers to figure out how to get to that magic ratio. Okay, and if you turn to page 32 in your books, you'll see a whole bunch of ways to try to get to that magic ratio or close to that magic ratio of 5 to 1. And it can be, the thing is, you want to remember, it can be a combination. We don't have to say 5 e-tank fillers in a row before we make a correction. Okay, this is over time, so it's okay to, have a day where you give a criticism and correction, and then, but you also were listening and you gave some nonverbal appreciation. Okay, so we can mix it up. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, you hit them all. That was it. That was the end. So that was a lot of information in a short amount of time.
I know.
No, you did a great job.
Yeah, it was hard for me to figure out ways to online really keep the crowd involved with just a couple people. Mm-hmm. I know that I'd like to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of the only comments that I said. Just get us involved, make it more conversational. Mm-hmm. Kip, what did you like about what Becky did specifically? Truthful and specifically.
Yeah, truthful and specific praise. You were really clear about the principles. I mean, I wasn't confused at all during, what you were saying. I mean, obviously it's something we've been going through, but it was really clear, and you gave good examples.
Yeah, excellent. I think your tone of voice was really clear. You're a very clear speaker, and you don't rush. You have a very conversational tone. I think it was great. I would ask that you smile more. Just because sometimes you have such a great smile, and sometimes you get into these principles and we get so serious. I didn't realize it till I was videotaped for the first time, and I was like, wow, I didn't smile that whole time? Like, that's ridiculous. So it just kind of lightens the mood. It seems minor, but it really does make a big impression.
Definitely.
I loved, the red zone, green zone. I've never heard that. I thought that was awesome. I love how you even said, which car would you want to take to the second principal? That was cute.
Yeah.
And also, I have a couple notes, like when trainers say things sometimes, I just write down notes to add to what you're saying. One of the things actually Elizabeth in this course brought up when she did her demo last week I thought was really cute was she said, when you're on empty, you see an end in sight. And I thought that was pretty good to think about. Your athletes are actually playing with an end in sight, saying, you know what, I'm going to give you as much as I have, and then I'm done. And we all as coaches have seen that before where they just hit a wall and they're finished. Yep. So if you don't want your players to hit a wall, make sure you keep their tank full, and they're just going to keep going. So I thought that was I wanted to add that because I thought that was cool. Yeah. The other thing, I like how you mentioned that we all have e-tanks. You said coaches and players, but don't forget about mentioning parents as well.
That's
parents and officials, because sometimes you get a parent in the stands and they're flipping out to be able to say to your team, I think Mrs. Jones over there's got a pretty low tank. Something like that is helpful to mention. And again, I thought you did a great job. You mentioned research. You mentioned the book. You mentioned the studies behind it. And in business, it's really cool to actually cite that Harvard Business Review did a study and found that their workers were more productive and creative in a positive work environment versus so it's actually translated into money and profit for companies. So I thought that was great. You did a fantastic job.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Kip, I'd love to see you try to still go even if we can't see you.
I am so sorry. I have no idea what the deal is. I've been sitting here, in between answering questions, trying to do everything possible on this laptop here to get it to work. It says it's on, but for some reason it's not detecting it to where I can click on it and
Okay, I was trying to see if there's anything I can do from my end, and I'm not seeing any difference, so. Oh, I just muted her. Whoops. Hold on, sorry. Oh, you know what? Kip, why don't you try to unmute yourself, because I think I just muted you by accident.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, now you're back. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're welcome to still go. We can pretend that we can see your smiling face.
Yeah, you can just picture me being animated, and usually, you know, I like to stand up and move around a lot, so sitting here doing this is kind of difficult.
Oh, I've had people that have stood up and stood across the room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's totally.
So then picture me standing up then.
Yeah, I had one person that couldn't even stay in the screen. They were moving around so much.
Well, yeah, I like to stand up and move around. So, and I do have an example of a tank draining coach from one of my coaches that I often share when I think about this. So
great. That's what I love to hear that.
So we've just come off of the example, I think, because I went and watched your when you talked about this on the video. Yeah, we just came off of Jesse hanging his head.
Yep.
And I really like the way you transitioned into this next slide, in that, you know, when Jesse's hanging his head, it's an obvious example that, you know, his emotional tank, so to speak, is depleted. So I like the way you kind of made that transition when I watched you do that. So
yep.
I thought that was good. Okay, well, I guess you can flip it.
Okay, whenever you're ready. Go. There you go.
Okay, so obviously Jesse's just come out of not feeling so great about what he did. He's working on that mistake ritual to get himself back in the game. But when you think about his emotional tank, it's kind of the equivalent of what you see here, a gas tank on a car. So which tank would you rather be driving? The one on the left or the one on the right? What do you guys think?
One on the right, full.
Right side.
How come? All right. Well, and why is that? Why would you rather be with full tank than an empty tank?
You can go places.
We can get to where we want to go.
All right, we can get to where we want to go. We can go places. We can keep going. We can go a lot further when we have a full tank. When our tank is on empty, we are kind of like Jesse, hanging our head, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe you guys can offer up maybe 2 or 3 things that kind of drains your emotional tank. What would those things be?
In life or in sports?
Well, there could be both for us as coaches, right? And as athletes, you know, it's not just what happens on the field, it's what happens off the field. So both are true.
So last night I made an awesome dinner. I made a whole Chinese stir fry, and I was all excited about it. My kids came home and said, "What's for dinner?" And they said Chinese stir fry, and they all went, "Ugh." So my tank was very low.
Yeah, all that effort, and you got a rejection stamp. Yeah, I've had that happen many a time. Yeah. Okay, anybody else? What drains your tank?
Frustration.
Frustration, the feeling of frustration, absolutely. The feeling of anger, frustration, being annoyed or disappointed, those are definitely tank draining type of feelings. Okay, well, the things, I guess we can flip the slide. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So you guys really nailed it. When we are on empty, it is very frustrating. We're more negative or pessimistic in the way we think. And we tend to give up more easily, less coachable. We're not as likely to receive instruction when our tank is depleted. Now, on the other hand, when we're energized and we got a full tank, we're much more optimistic, more positive. We are better able to deal with like the rejection of our kids not liking the stir fry and maintaining a positive attitude about it. And we're just more coachable when our tank is on full. Our emotional tank is full. Okay, this is where I'm having a little bit of a brain fart. Is this where we go into the example with the beach ball, basketball, or do we do that first?
It's up to you. however you want it. I've seen it done both ways.
Okay.
So it's totally up to you how you want to. If you want them to
I
see
guess
it first and then
explain it. Do this first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now let's just talk about what drains a tank or what fills this, what we've been calling our emotional tank. So what do you guys think would drain an athlete's tank? And you probably can tell that when they show up for practice that day, right?
Relationship problems.
You must be coaching a bunch of girls.
Oh, yeah. So fun.
Yes. Okay, relationship problems. What else?
maybe they got in a fight with their parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too much homework.
Too much to do, too much homework, possibly conflict.
Maybe they just had a bad game yesterday or something.
Yeah. Coming off a bad game, bad day, off day in practice, the day before they're quite ready. Yeah, those are all types of tank drainers. What about what fills the tank? What do you guys think fills the tank? Makes us feel better, more willing to be coachable.
I think just getting support from your friends and your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we feel good when our coach tells us we did something good.
Support, praise, encouragement. Yeah, that we did a good job with something specific. So you guys already know this, but here's what we do know. What drains a tank are correction and criticism. Now, as coaches, as parents, as teachers, yeah, that's a part of our job. We have to do that. It's not saying that we don't do that, but we do know, based on research, that does drain an athlete's tank. Now, how we communicate that kind of correction is really the key. Okay? So we can be very sarcastic in the way we deliver it. That's very draining. Sometimes we can just completely ignore when something happens, good or bad, and that's a tank drainer. Or maybe we've got nonverbals. The hands go up when we miss a shot or something like that. Those are very tank draining. Now, what fills a tank is very truthful and positive feedback. Not just saying good effort, but good effort on what? Be specific. Expressing that appreciation. Okay, you guys talked about that. So the supportive appreciation fills a tank. Listening. Now, how many of us coaches are really good at listening to our athletes and what's going on in their day? Maybe that first 5 minutes when the kids are showing up for practice, that will set the tone for practice. And guess what? That skill of listening can actually set the tone for a very positive practice. And you weren't even doing anything. You weren't even opening your mouth. You were simply just listening. And again, we got nonverbal things like thumbs up. They give us a positive response that fills our tank. So let's do this. Just to kind of drive home this concept, let me get a couple volunteers. And I love the idea you did about the beach ball. That's so fantastic. So I'm going to use that too. So let me have one of you come stand over here and pretend to be a basket. And let me get one of you over here. Let me go ahead and give you this ball. Okay, and coaches out there, these two, we're going to demonstrate this concept of draining an athlete's tank. So I'm going to have Lisa here throw the ball over here to Dante. And Dante, make sure it goes in. And then coaches, I want you guys out there to show, I want to hear and I want to see a tank drainer. So Lisa's going to miss this one. And why don't you demonstrate for us what it would be like to drain Lisa's tank? All right, are you ready, Lisa? Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, she shoots it. She misses. All right, let me see.
What were you thinking? That was a horrible shot.
Oh, my gosh.
Terrible.
How did you do that? You got to put that in.
Oh, very good. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Tank drainers. So, Lisa, you got your work cut out for you. We got to muster up some effort here, and we're going to do this again. And I guess I love, too, I should ask her, how did that make you feel? I like the way you did that, so I need to remember to do that. And then, okay, so let's go through the same scenario. And now she's going to make this basket. And I want to hear what fills the tank. Both really verbally show her that praise of filling the tank. Ready, Lisa?
Ready.
Okay, she shoots. She makes it.
Woo,
Okay.
nice job, Lisa. Way to go.
Nice job, Lisa.
Way to take the shot.
Nice follow through. Way to square up.
Awesome. Awesome. So how did that make you feel? All right, she answers the question. Okay, now we're going to do this a little bit differently. Now I don't want you, coaches out there, I don't want you to say a word. I want you to use the non-verbals that you have in your repertoire. And same thing, she's going to take the shot. This time she's going to miss it. And she's going to look to you. And I want the tank drainers that are non-verbal. Okay, you ready, Lisa? She's ready. All right, she has a shot and she misses. So what are nonverbal tank drainers? Oh, a lot of shaking the head, looking away. Yep, big tank drainers. Okay, now one more time. We gotta leave her on a good note. So she's gonna take the shot. She's gonna make it this time. She's gonna turn to you guys, and all I want are positive nonverbals. All right, positive nonverbals. Ready, Lisa? Ready. She takes the shot. She makes it. What are some positive nonverbals? Awesome. Well, I have to tell you guys, and thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Dante. You guys can go back and sit down. Thank you for my volunteers. Give them a little round of applause. Okay, so I just have this one story. This is probably one of the most horrific examples of a tank drainer I've ever experienced as an athlete. But I used to have, when I was a competitive gymnast, I used to have a coach who, and this was totally nonverbal. And I was maybe like 9, 10, 11 years old, somewhere in there. And we, of course, had to do 10 beam routines and make 10 beam routines before we could move on, and we had to chart them. And I can remember one time finishing my beam routine, and this coach just like put her hands, kind of like you guys did, over her face, and then you would see me just fall down and pretend like I was dying. And she would just fall down and pretend like she was dying. And she would kind of get up and look and just say, that was like the worst routine I've ever seen. But she made this non-verbal action of pretending like she was dying. And to a 9, 10-year-old, that was very tank draining. And I can remember just fearing going over to beam, knowing if Coach Kathy was going to be there, because I didn't want her to die, even though it was just a non-verbal action that she took.
Wow.
Okay. Should I keep going, or?
No, you can stop for now. That was a good story. It's a good story to end on. Yeah, absolutely. No, I like you to see where 10 minutes helps you to fall too, because I could let you go on, but it's good to see, like, I didn't get through magic ratio yet at 10 minutes, but in a regular workshop you would have some more time. So, as I said, I think it's good to get an idea of how long 10 minutes is, and it's not very long.
Yeah, that is.
All right, Becky, what did you like about what Kip did?
Sure. I really liked, Kip, how you took time to really point out the listening under what fills the tank. I think you're absolutely right in that we don't really realize that all the time that listening is really important to our players, and we can really get in the coaching mode of let's get the plan started and let's get going. And you give a specific example of taking 5 minutes as the players are walking in the gym to ask them how their day was. And I think that makes a huge difference, and it really makes the players feel good. And I think it's really important. And sometimes, too, I think we can ask that but not listen. So sometimes maybe asking them another question after that shows that you're actually listening to what they say about their day.
That is good.
Yeah.
Like a follow-up
really good.
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, too. And did you want to give her a learning opportunity? What's something that you'd like? We call it a wish. What's something that you wish you did or you'd like to see her do a little bit differently? Is there anything that stood out?
I think that in the beginning it kind of went from the empty gas tanks to the emotional tank kind of quick, so I was a little bit caught off guard. I think just probably because she's not she's not in her full presentation mode
right
at the beginning there, but I think she did a good job.
Thanks. All right, thanks. Well, right off the bat, I mean, even without seeing you, I can feel your energy. I can feel that you're smiling and you're bouncing and you're happy, and I think that if that can come through a picture of you, not even seeing you, just through your voice, I put like great inflection and energy in your voice. That will get the audience fired up about what you're saying, and that's basically how passion oozes through our trainers. Is just your excitement and your energy level. You don't necessarily have to be bopping around the room to show passion in your voice, and I can tell that you have that. So I think that was awesome. And again, with inflection in your voice, like you have a really nice cadence to your voice that it's very easy to hear. But then when you said, you were talking about correction and criticism, and what I really took away from that when you said how is the key. And you really, just by changing your voice, that stuck out at me. Correction and criticism is important as coaches. That's what we do, but it's how you do it. So I thought that was really good the way you kind of highlighted that. That was great. I also
realize I did that.
Yeah, that's why I let you watch these back again too. I'll send you the link so you can watch it. I also like the way you talked about listening. One of the to move it a little bit further, I would have asked coaches specifically, you can tell that listening is important to you. I would ask the coaches, when are opportunities that you can actually listen to your players, like you said, when they're walking into the gym, when they're doing warm-ups, because sometimes coaches think if I sub you out of a game, I'll listen. But there's a lot of little tiny opportunities for you to listen to players. So that might be a good discussion question. When is a great time to listen?
Yeah, for sure. That's good.
The only thing, the scenario, I thought you did really well. I thought it was cute the way you had it set up. The one thing that I would encourage you to do is go one step further and have them try to fill tanks when the ball's missed. Because you had us drain it when they missed the shot and fill it when they made the shot. Yeah. But challenge the audience to try to fill the tank, because that's really the key. When the player's outcome is bad, can they fill a tank still? So it's a lot of balls in the air juggling around. But if the more practice you get, you would have picked that up. But I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out to you. And I think your story about the coach dying, I would push that probably up a little closer to the beginning. I think that's a really powerful story. And because I could feel how it made you feel as a 9-year-old, and I pictured my coach I might put that a little bit closer to the beginning of this principle, just to sort of illustrate as a kid. Yeah. I mean, now you're a grown woman, and you still can probably see your coach doing that, and you can know how it made you feel. So I think that's a powerful story, and I would definitely move up the importance of it a little bit.
Okay, good. That's good.
I thought you did great. Thank you. Sorry we couldn't see you.
Yeah. I know. I'll see if I can hopefully get it fixed by Wednesday.
Yeah, no problem. All right,
it's probably just one of a small button or something, and I just don't know where it is.
I know, and if I was in your computer, I could help you, but I can't figure out everybody else's computers. That's okay, no worries. So we got a little bit late start with Mike and Brett, who I think Brett's there too. Kip and Becky, if you guys want to stay on, you're welcome to, but if not, you guys are welcome to go. So
okay.
Thank you for joining us. All right. Hi, Brett. Hi, Mike.
Morning.
Good morning. I appreciate you starting out your day with us here. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me now?
We can. Absolutely.
Okay, there. Got it working. All right.
All right. Sorry we got a little bit over our time, but it's only what I'm going to do. I don't know if you got to catch a little bit of Becky and Kip's, but you guys have 10 minutes, and it probably won't be enough time to get through the whole principle. But it's just a great opportunity to get some flavor of what you're going to do, how you would run a workshop, and we'll give you some feedback. So I think I told Becky, the more time you can get feedback, the better. Even as trainers that have been doing it for 10 years, we always welcome opportunities to practice in front of people and get feedback, because your audience isn't always the greatest feedback givers. So it's nice to have other people to give you feedback. So if you have the PowerPoint in front of you, that's fine. If you want me to go through it, like this, if you want to be able to see it from my point of view, if you want to be able to see it on the big screen, you just click on my picture, and it'll make it big for you on the screen. Whoever you click on, that's who comes up big. So if you need to see it that way, you can always just tell me to click, and I'll click to the next slide. Or we don't really need to see it because we know what it is. But if you want me to go through it, I'd be happy to do that. That makes sense?
Yep.
All right. So I don't know if you want to go first, Mike, or Brett. It doesn't really matter to me. I think on the schedule, Brett was first. If
Okay,
he's
then I can go
awake
first.
enough.
Yeah.
What time are you at there, Brett?
It's 7.
You're awesome. All
So
right.
not too bad.
Not
Better
too
than
bad.
3
Yeah, there you go. We let you sleep in an extra hour.
Would you be able to click for me, Kelly?
Sure, absolutely. Do you want me to start with Jesse, or do you want me to start with the gas tanks?
Let's start with the gas tanks, if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine. All right, and I'll just put 10 minutes on the clock. You'll hear the bell when it's done, but don't feel like you have to stop mid-sentence. You know, finish your thought, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds
All right.
good.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, everyone.
We are your audience, so.
Okay. Hello, audience.
Hello.
Hey,
Well, we just got done talking about our Elm Tree of Mastery, right? And we can summarize that in pretty much one sentence, is that we use effort, learning, and mistakes to be able to improve performance, to be able to draw the best out of our athletes, which will bring them to a place where they enjoy playing the game. We as coaches get to see better results, but most so we're there to focus on the effort and the mastery of their skills. And so I want to introduce the second principle to you guys today. And I want to start with this picture. Obviously, there are 2 gas tanks, and we all drive. But which gas tank would you rather be driving?
Full one.
Right?
on a full
The right, the one on the right.
Because it has more gas, and if mom and dad pay for the gas tank, even more so of a reason to drive that tank of gas. But real quick, I'm gonna turn around. But if all of you guys could just hold up a number, because in the same way we have an emotional tank as well, similar to a gas tank. It can start on full and on empty. But if you're here tonight or this morning, if you have a full emotional tank, I want you to hold up a 5, and this is like, oh, Brett, I'm so stoked to be here. Can't wait to hear more about Positive Coaching Alliance. That's a 5. A 1 would be like, Brett, it's too early in the morning. I need to go back to sleep. I need to go home. So that'll be that. I'll turn around and go ahead. 1, 2, 3. Throw up your number. Okay. Everyone threw up some kind of number, but as coaches, it's really important for us to know the emotional tanks of our players. If we're going to draw the best out of them, if we're going to best coach them, teach them life lessons, it's so important for us to understand their emotional gas tank. So I want to start with this. I'll explain it in a little bit, but what would you say a player with a low emotional tank would look like? Like, what are some examples of a player with a low emotional tank?
He looked like Jesse, hanging his head down and not getting back on defense, not being aggressive.
Yeah, that's right. Head down, not aggressive, discouraged. Any others?
probably withdrawn maybe from the team.
Yep. They go into isolation. And then would I be able to bring up?
Definitely not putting forth the effort.
Yes, the effort goes way down.
Do you want me to keep going? Quick.
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, and so actually we go 1 click back.
Yep.
Sorry. So that's right. You guys had great examples, and players with low emotional tanks, they look with the perspective of the cup is half empty. They're very pessimistic. They give up more easily. They won't respond to challenges well, and they're less coachable because, like you said, the emotion is shut down. But on the flip side, what is a player with a full emotional tank?
They are fired up and ready to go.
Fired up and ready to go. That's right.
Lots of smiles, the energy, willing to take instruction.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and could we click the next one? And so you're right. They're very optimistic. They're very positive. They tend to deal better with challenges. And overall, they're more coachable into feedback. They're more open to what you have to say. Understand that, hey, coach wants me to become better. He wants me to be the best player and coach that I could possibly be. So what do you think there are? So, sorry, I'm stuck here.
That's right.
So what would be things that drain a player's tank throughout the day. We go out throughout our day, and there are definitely events, circumstances that happen that would drain our tank. So what do you think, or name 5 things that would drain a player's emotional tank?
Doing poorly in school, some kind of a bad test, or bombed a quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Conflict with a friend.
That's right. Problems with friends.
Somebody on the team.
Yep. That becomes even more awkward sometimes, yeah.
Mike,
Any
I
others?
muted you for a minute, Mike, if you want to answer, because I thought I was hearing feedback, so you have to unmute if you want to answer.
Sorry, I thought, yeah, say if they're tired.
Tired, yes. And so, unfortunately, these are things that carry over into our practices and in coaches. We could draw up the best practice plans. We could be coming in. We just came off a great win the week before, and we're fired up, ready to go. But what happens when these kids have problems with on the quiz? They might have even had relationship problems. Things aren't things like their home life. So these are things that they automatically have a lowered emotional tank. Now on the flip side, what do you think? They're trying to name a few things that fill a player's tank. What things would fill one of our players' tanks?
I think just taking the time to talk to them, like just one-on-one with a coach time sometimes. You don't even have to say much. It just shows the player that you care about them.
Absolutely, right? As coaches, we should definitely be there to invest in the player's full life, not just their performance on the field or on the court. Any others?
Giving them high fives or pats on the back.
There we go, yes.
Making sure they understand, what they are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Not just always, coaching them up and telling them, what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, the positive reinforcement, because as a player, you need to know what you're doing well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you think as coaches, we have control or the power or the ability to fill our players' tanks?
Yes, I think we do.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. We do. And in the end, when we fill our players' tanks, the performance will increase, right? Because a player with a full emotional tank is going to be a player who's going to put in more effort, who's going to be more open to learning, who's going to come in with a positive mindset that, hey, I made a mistake, but the most important play is the next play. And how can I bounce back from that, right? Going back to the mistake ratio rather than hanging their head, not getting back on defense. And so I want to be able to kind of play this as a real-life scenario of how this would take part. But if I could have 2 volunteers to come up, I need one person to be a basket and I need one person to be a shooter.
Me.
Kelly, would you be the basket or the shooter?
I'll be the shooter because I've got my ball.
Any other volunteers? Mike, you in?
Yep, I'm in.
Okay, awesome. And sorry, Kelly, you're the shooter, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So, Mike, no matter what, I need Kelly to make this shot. The ball's going to go into the basket. And everyone else who is participating, we're the fans, we're the teammates, we're the parents, we're the coaches, and we want to just be able to fill this person's tank. Our player just made the shot. We want to be able to fill their tank. All ready? Go for it.
Swish.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, atta girl, Kelly.
Great shot.
Right on the money.
Done.
Okay, so scenario 2. Kelly's gonna take another shot, but Mike, unfortunately, no matter what, the ball does not go in. And fans, coaches, players, we want to drain her tank. This is like the next coaching lines coming together. This is what we're about. Okay, go for it.
Man, that was awful.
Oh,
What a
you gotta
break.
make that, Kelly.
Wow, what were you thinking?
Focus. You gotta focus.
Brick
Oh, I'm
shooter.
way off.
And so if we were to compare these 2 scenarios, in the first scenario, right, we were able to fill Kelly's tank. Everyone was cheering, everyone was clapping, everyone was encouraging her. Do you think when she gets the ball next, when someone passes her the ball, what do you think she's gonna do? Is she gonna take the next shot, or is she gonna be confident? What do you guys think in the first scenario?
Oh, the first one, yeah, I'll be psyched and ready to go.
Absolutely. Now we compare that to the second scenario. What do you think she's gonna do? She's open. We pass her the ball. Right? She's going to pass it. There's so much self-doubt. She doesn't want to let down her family. Doesn't want to let down her players. She doesn't want to hear all the negative feedback. And so that's why it's really important for us to be able to fill a player's tank, even in the times where they feel like they fail. Even when the result isn't the desired outcome, it's so important to fill our tank, to fill our players' tanks. And so I have one more scenario. Kelly, you're going to take another shot. Mike, it's going to miss again. But everyone else, the fans, the coaches, and the players, we're going to fill her tank. Okay?
Oh.
Hey, it's okay, Kelly. Get back on D. You know, you put yourself in a great position to take that shot. Okay, so is this where I will... Go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to wrap it up, go ahead. But that was 10 minutes.
Yeah, and so Kelly, how did you feel after that shot? I mean, you missed, but there were teammates encouraging you.
I'm kind of confused. They're making me. They're cheering for me, and I missed.
That's right, and so it's something in our society that we don't necessarily value. We don't affirm mistakes, or we don't affirm failures, but the important thing is to know that for this player to know that we have their back, that we're going to continue encouraging them, because again, we're not here to emphasize or reward the performance. I mean, that's great. Winning's great, results are great, but on the flip side too, we want to really emphasize their effort. What are they learning? How are they bouncing back from that missed shot to take another? And what we kind of just noticed there is that when we were draining a player's tank, there's a lot of criticism. It was more like, hey, you could have done this, you could have done that. I know for me, I'm a very sarcastic person, so I'll be sarcastic. Oh, that was a great shot, but not really. We could totally just ignore them and be like, okay, well, Kelly's gonna go at the end of the bench now because she missed that shot. And the biggest thing too is our nonverbals. We think the things we say communicate a lot, but our nonverbals actually communicate so much more. When we roll our eyes, put down our head in shame, right, kind of just turn our head to the side. Those are things that really can drain a player's tank. And if a player's tank is drained, they're not going to perform to the best of their ability. And therefore, as coaches, you're not going to get the results you want on the scoreboard. But on the flip side, of course, it's so easy to fill a tank when a player succeeds. They make the shot, they get a hit, they score a touchdown. But even in their time where they might have failed, or they might have dropped the ball, they might have missed the shot, it's still important for us to fill their tank. And so even, it's kind of weird, because when Kelly missed a shot, maybe the thing we would have said was, oh, good job, Kelly, hey, great effort, right? But in that time, we don't want to be necessarily wishy-washy, because that could actually take away from what we're trying to accomplish here. We want to be truthful and specific. Hey, Kelly, way to get open, right? Way to beat the defender. We want to be truthful and specific, not too general and broad, right? We want to express appreciation, because, I mean, hey, if it's a game-winning shot, I appreciate the fact you had the confidence to even take it. Most people would have frozen, passed it to someone else, right? And another huge one is listening, because as coaches, we're so quick to give feedback. We're so quick to say what we want to say, but I think it's so super important for players to feel understood. And last but not least, again, paying attention to our nonverbals. Even though inside of you, you're yelling, you still want to smile, still clap, encourage them to go to the next play. And so that's kind of like wrapping it up.
All right. Thank you. 10 minutes is short, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it is. Awesome. All right. Kip or Mike or Becky, do you have, let's first go through real quick. What's something positive that you really liked about what Brett did?
I really like, Brett, when you asked the coaches a question. Do you think you as a coach have the power to fill an athlete's e-tank? I thought that was like a really powerful question, just, using, the name of the book and just asking coaches that strong question. I thought was really good. I like that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Mike?
I thought you asked good questions. You kept us involved, which is good. I think that's a big part of this whole thing, and that it is a discussion, not just a workshop in which you're doing all the talking. So you asked good questions throughout what you did.
Great.
Thank you.
Right, I would agree. I keep getting mute. Did you mute me?
I did, because I think there was an echo for some reason, and when I muted you, it didn't echo. So when Brett was talking,
Okay.
I was muting
All
you.
right,
Don't
that's
take it
fine.
personally.
That's all right. No, but yeah, keeping the crowd involved, I think, was good because I know I'm going to be weak on that. So it was good help for me to remind me to do that.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Brett, I really just I like your personality. You're very likable, and you have a great smile, and you can connect with the audience very well. And I loved your use of questioning. Like every single thing you said, you put it out to the audience to get information from them first. But you didn't do it. You did it quickly. You kept the pace going. So sometimes people that ask too many questions slows down the whole workshop, and you kept it moving. So I thought you did a great job. And also verifying when we gave an answer, you're like, oh, that was good. Or, I like that point. Or, that's important too, because a lot of times trainers will ask a question, and then they'll get an answer, and they'll just go on to the next thing. And like you really have to actually feel the text of the audience and listen to them too. So I thought you did a nice job with that. I think you've got a good sense of humor too, and I would probably even use it more. Like when you said you're a sarcastic person, like, oh yeah, that was a great shot. I mean, that shows your personality, and I think that's another way to connect to the audience. And I just thought the Negative Coaching Alliance was funny. Like now here we are from the Negative Coaching Alliance. Show me what that would be like. So I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah. Any suggestions you guys would have, or wishes, something you'd like to see Brett do a little bit more of, or anything that was a growth opportunity for Brett?
Probably just the time frame, right, to get to the ratio part.
Yeah.
Yeah, the magic ratio is important. As I said, in a regular workshop, you would probably have a good 5 more minutes for this principle, so you would be able to probably get to that. But yeah, Becky or Kip?
Well, I would just concur with, like, if you do have a strong sense of humor there, yeah, just a little more energy and use more of that gift that you have.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Becky?
No, I think he had a point where he kind of just lost his train of thought, and maybe that could have slowed him down a little bit. But I think overall it was pretty good. I liked how he kept the crowd involved, and lots of questions, keeps people on their toes.
Mm-hmm. Good, and I'm glad you did that. That's one of another reinforcement for doing this, because sometimes we know exactly what we want to say in our head, and then when we go to say it verbally, it's like, wait, I don't actually know how to phrase this right now. Your brain gets ahead of your mouth sometimes. So that's why we practice this, so you can just figure out the words to make it sound smooth. The only thing that I put down as one thing I'd love to hear is you mentioned the research more behind this, because I think all of us know in our heads that kids with a full tank will play better. But it's really cool when people hear that there's actually 20 years of research behind it, that not only in sports, but in business and marriages, and you might have gotten to that when you got to magic ratio. But I think a lot of these, like truthful, specific praise, appreciation, listening, and nonverbals, these were actually researched to figure out what does fill kids' tanks the best. And then again, and I brought this up with Becky and Kip too, the idea of criticism and correction. I like to spend a little extra, maybe a couple minutes, like a minute on that, because that's a really fine line between criticism is a negative, but correction can be a positive. Mm-hmm. And positive feedback and feedback to the athlete is really important. Correcting their mistakes is important. How you do it. It can be draining or filling. So I think it's just worth spending a little extra minute on to clarify that. But I enjoyed it. Thanks, Brett. All right, Mike, you ready to go?
I guess.
Jump into the fire.
I'm on, right? What's that?
I said just jump right into the fire.
Okay. So
I'll put 10 minutes on your clock, and we are your audience.
Okay, so I'd say, like a transition. So that was Positive Coaching Alliance principle number 1, the Elm Tree of Mastery, where we focus on effort and learning, and mistakes are okay. And so, I don't know, for smoother transition, but then I'd go. So now let's move on to the second principle of the PCA, which, as a slide, so which car would you rather be driving here, the one with the full tank of gas or the one that's empty?
Full tank.
Cool.
Oh, of course. Why is that?
Because I stress out when my tank is empty.
Yeah, so I can go far.
Right. Go farther, and I think the stress is a big thing because when the tank is full, no worries, right? Whereas when it's empty, you've got one more thing to take care of, worry about. You got to get gas in that car before you come to a stop. And then I think I'd move to the next slide, right?
Yep.
And that brings us to the second principle where the gas tank represents, all of us have, our emotions are measured much like a gas tank is. So imagine you're measuring how you feel. Which one would you rather be? Of course, you'd rather be full, right? You would not have the worries. And, here, I got my screen. Let's see. So our goal is to get our players to have a full emotional tank. And why is that? Because as it shows in the slide, when your tank is full, the players are more optimistic, can deal better with adversity, and be more coachable. And my screen's cutting out.
Okay. Can you not see it?
Oh, there it is again. Okay. Just you know what? I'm just going to go to.
Are you using mine, or are you okay?
I'm going to go to mine. I think is going to be better.
Okay.
Here's okay. Is it not? I'm sorry. I'm having technical. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear. You're not cutting out at all.
Okay. All right. So to learn more about this emotional tank, let's do a drill. When players make a mistake, who do they tend to look at?
Their coaches.
Coaches, sometimes their parents, sometimes maybe they'll hang their head and just look at the ground. Well, let's say I'm going to be the player who looks at their coach after they say miss a shot, that they had an open shot. So I'll take the ball. I've got a ball. I'm going to have. I need a couple of volunteers. One to be a shooter, and here's a ball for you. Any volunteers? And one to be the basket. Anyone?
I'll be the basket.
I'll shoot.
Okay, I can't look at your screen. I got troubles here.
You can actually minimize. You can minimize the hangout. Like click on it and kind of drag it in the corner, and then you can see your PowerPoint on the other screen. You want to be super high tech.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
No, I can just. Nope, I don't.
Okay.
So all right, I'm sorry. So who Kelly was shooting, right? So
Brett was shooting. I was the basket. Yep.
You said, Brett's shooting. Okay. So after he takes the shot, we're gonna start with him with a miss. And so let's give examples of what it'd be to give a negative feedback to him when you have to. So go ahead and take the shot. Did I do that backwards?
That was horrible, Brett. What are you thinking? Are you okay? You're still there, Mike. We still see you. I don't know if you can see us. Oh, there's gone. I figured sometimes that happens, and we think they're there, and they can't see us at all. That's his. He must have a bad connection somewhere. Yeah, somebody actually showed me that in the last course, how you can just take the Hangout and make it small and put it in the right-hand corner, and then you can go through your PowerPoint on your own computer screen.
Wow. Okay, I need to figure that thing out.
Yeah, I think if you just pull up PowerPoint first, and then just keep the window of the Hangout open. And then
got it. Yes.
It works okay. We'll see if he comes back.
Yeah, no, I was thinking because I was like, oh, but I want to be able to like eye contact.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was like a big thing, but
It's
yeah.
hard. I mean, I understand that it's hokey being in front of a screen instead of an audience, but
Yeah, I'm excited. I get to go with Kiha a couple of times this week to
oh,
a
good.
training.
Oh, cool.
So
Have you ever
yeah,
seen
I'm
him do a
excited.
workshop?
No, I haven't. I haven't been to one because we were supposed to go to one a couple weeks ago. It got canceled. So this week, I think tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll be going together. So that'll be fun. Now I can kind of get more reps to see how it's done.
Yes. And he's
So
awesome. He
yeah,
actually shared trash get ball. Have you heard about this?
trash skip. Oh, he did it with a trash
Trash
can.
get ball. Yes. And he has, I mean, wait till you see this. I hope he does it. And if he doesn't, you need to tell him to do it. He gets this whole, like, instead of just one person shooting and one person, he did it at our trainer conference. And it takes a lot of logistics to do it. But he gets a room of coaches or parents or whatever. I think he did it with the parents. He does it with the parents. But he has like 3 different courts set up. And each court has like 10 people at it, like just in the room. He'll say, one here. And he gets paper and a trash can. And there's a shooter, there's a coach, there's somebody making the trash balls, for them to shoot. There's 2 parents on the sidelines. One's a positive parent, one's a negative parent. And then there's like an assistant coach, and he's got this whole thing set up. And he blows the whistle, and you have 1 minute, and the shooter has to try to make as many baskets out of trash, that they can. And the parents, the one parent is screaming positive things, and the other parent is screaming negative things. And the one coach is yelling negatives, and the other coach is being really supportive. And you got the pressure of because you're competing against the other people that are going to see how many you get. And you actually, but it's cool because he has you make the trash ball, and then you shoot it in the basket over your shoulder. So there's like no skill involved because it's just you're just throwing it over your shoulder as fast as you can. And the coach is sitting in front of you yelling, a little higher, a little lower, little, to the left, to the right, because you can't see. You're just throwing them over your shoulder. And, I mean, he had the whole room it was so loud in there. There was so much energy. But, afterwards, he kind of unpacked it. And he said he's done this with parents before. And he actually had a mom, like, come to him crying.
Wow.
After this was done because she was the shooter. And she said, I had no idea how much pressure I put on my son when I scream and yell at him. She said, I thought it was encouraging. She's like, this lady, whoever it was like screaming in her ear as she was trying to shoot the basket. And she's like, it didn't hit me till right then. Oh my gosh. Like she said, she wanted to turn to the lady and say, shut up. I can't even concentrate with you yelling. And she's like, I'm that mom that screams and yells to my son on the basketball court all the time. So he said she was like crying.
That's so cool. I mean,
if you can bring something to videotape it, like if you have a way to just video a little bit of it, I've told him before, I'm like, you have to get that on video because I have to share that with people. And he said he's working on it. But
I'll try to film if he pulls that one out for these workshops.
Yeah,
so
it's intense. It's crazy.
Are the positive and the negative, they're all barking at the same time, or is there one negative?
No, they're barking at everybody screaming at the same time. You've got the coach screaming, the assistant coach, the positive parent, the negative parent, and he has it really like he has it on cards. So he has like one set of cards, and he's like, you're the coach, you're the assistant coach, you're the parent, you're the screaming parent. So they kind of put themselves. It takes time and it takes a lot of organization, but it's really effective the way that he does it. Are you there?
Yeah, okay. I'm here.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be just a joy to watch him because he's so good at what he does. I don't think Mike's coming back.
Bummer.
I'm getting that idea, but I can talk to him later. I don't want to hold you up. I thought maybe he'd be back in a couple minutes. Did you have any questions or anything since I have you?
No, I mean, it was just it's good to just run through it, the flow of it, because even within the hangout that we had, I guess it'll just help when I actually watch Kiha do it, because I know when we hang out, you're going back and forth with teaching us, and you're kind of going on a pace too. So this was good to kind of just get the feet wet and so it was good, and then. Really, thank you for the research thing too, right?
It's like, and a lot of it too, like a lot of the things I write down, I want to share with you some ideas to like to go one step further. And some of the things that I mean, you're like you're on the right track completely. One of the things that I really like that Elizabeth, who's in this course, the really young one from Florida, she said last week when she did hers, and I love what she said. She said she showed like the e-tank, like the e-tank and the full tank, and she said instead of asking which car would you rather be driving, she said, how do you feel when you're driving on empty?
Yeah, no, actually, Mike, I liked what he did there.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of like, yeah, rather than saying transitioning real quick, is like, you're no worries, less stress. So if I'm a coach, I'm like, I'm all about less stress. As a person, I'm just all about stress in general.
Right. Because it's kind of a hokey question, like, which car would you rather be driving? Obviously, everybody's going to say full. So I thought that was really cool. And then she said, I know when I'm driving my car and I have an empty tank, I'm thinking, when's the end going to happen? When am I going to stop? And she's like, think about players that are playing with the end in sight, knowing at some point they're going to hit a wall and they're going to have nothing left to give. And I was like, that's a really good point, that when your car, she was talking about the light, like she really made it a cute example. She's like, when you see that light blinking and you know you're on empty and you're ignoring it, you know at some point you're just going to stop. And I thought that was a really cool example. She's like, I want my players to see no end in sight. I want them to keep going and going. And because when you have a full tank, you're not even worried. You'll drive to the beach. You'll drive to a friend's house. You'll drive. It was just a really cool example. I like the way she did that.
Wow. That's really.
And I'm trying to think if there was another one too. Another thing that somebody did too, which I thought was great, rather than the like the basketball shooting example with bringing people up, they said they really worked on the Jesse scenario because they just got in groups and talked about Jesse. So they had somebody come up and pretend they were Jesse and whatever sport you were talking about that Jesse was playing. And they said, okay, coach, I want you to fill Jesse's tank because his tank is empty. Tell me as a coach, what would you say to bring that ratio up to 5-to-1? How would you, if Jesse's your case study, how would you help Jesse specifically? And they walked through, like, I would put my arm around him. I'd say, you know what, Jesse, it's all right. You're going to get another chance. You were hustling really well in there. And the person, she had somebody else counting how many positives that was. And then she said, okay, like how many positives did Coach Brett give Jesse? And they said, well, they said his name. That's 1. He put his arm around him. That's 2. He appreciated his effort. That's 3. That, you know, so it wasn't like, you know, woohoo, shoot, and then the whole crowd goes crazy. But they said, you know, I thought that was a really powerful way to do it because you have to think as a coach, how are you going to help Jesse not hang his head next time? What would you do? So I thought that was another way to do it too, which was kind of cool.
No, Kelly. So you know when you're doing the magic ratio, like this is where I'm like, since I've been born, like raised with negative coaching alliance, right? Because I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you know, and then it kind of like gates everything. So it's like, like the sandwich method, right? That's what they teach us. And then already like, it's kind of a little unfortunate because when I already hear like, oh, Brett, you're doing it, and then you automatically go, okay, well, what's my criticism? What's my feedback? Right? So how would you phrase it in a way where they understand that I'm not trying to tell you that you suck in this, but more how can I give the 5 and then the 1 it just like sneaks in there? Like, is there like verbiage that you use that helps you?
Well, I think what you said is perfect because, you know, when you give somebody a compliment and then you say, but it just totally takes away the compliment you just gave. So we call it, like in positive coaching, we call it the power of a big but. If you want to negate what came first, say the criticism first. You know, appreciate something and then say, you know what, Brett, you know that you were at the wrong angle for that shot. You know, that was just not the right angle. But you hustled to the ball. You got open. You were aggressive. You switched from your right hand to your left hand. And I saw you drive in for that layup. And you hadn't done that before in a game. That's awesome. So it's still a 5-to-1, but it's not 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 1. And you can use because some coaches have said don't ever use the word but. But I think if you use the word but because a player's like, you know, oh, you know what, that's a great shirt, but it's just not the right color for you. Like then you're like, well, you don't like my shirt, you know. But if you flip it around and say, you know, say the negative first, then say the but, and then they end on that. So that's one suggestion. I think also it's how you, if you're phrasing it in the environment of a caring coach rather than a harsh judge, you're going to get a lot more respect. And that's what we talk about, like being more coachable. If your environment and your culture on your team is one of tank filling, not draining, then you can give probably 3 criticisms sometimes. And the kids are going to be able to handle it because they're like, you know what? My coach cares about me. My coach knows I work hard. My coach knows that I'm struggling with this skill, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So if you do 3 critiques or 3 feedback, give them pieces of information in a row, they're going to be able to handle it. That's what we mean by more coachable. If you're constantly coming down negative, 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 then you might even say, hey, your shoe's untied. And the kid would be like, oh, man, again, one more thing you're on my case for, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. And it's how you say it over the course of the relationship that you have with that player. So I push that too, that filling emotional tanks isn't just a situational thing. It's really, are you a tank filling team? Or do you have a positive workspace you're working with here? Or is it a negative? When do the kids step from their crappy life onto your field or your court, are they going to be lifted up or are they going to be drugged right back down again? And you as a coach have a lot of power over the culture. You don't have any power over the culture outside. You know, their home life might be bad. They might be failing out in school. Their girlfriend might have just dumped them, whatever it is. But when they step on your court or your field, you are completely 100% in control of that environment. It's what you accept, what you tolerate, and what you don't. So that's the power that I give coaches with the E-Tank training and filling.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. I think we lost Mike forever. So thanks for staying on.
Appreciate it.
Nice talking to you.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Brett.
Okay. Bye.
Take care.